Hello guys, Davinator right here, and today we got a gameplay review of the 1968 classic directed by George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead. Now, this is by far the oldest movie that we've reviewed on our horror film review spree thus far, and I don't know if I'll review any movies after this that are even older than this one. I might, I don't know. Maybe I'll go for something like, maybe Nosferatu? Maybe? I don't know. I'll think about it. But, yeah, I decided to talk about this because I said as we went on, the movies that we reviewed would become more and more independent. And this is definitely an independent film. At the time, it was filmed, I believe, if you adjust for inflation, I believe it was filmed for $100,000. Either that, or if you don't adjust for inflation, it was $100,000 at the time. I can't remember which, but basically, it was a very low-budget movie. However, they did a great job with what budget they had. This is a good movie. I don't love it. Like, I didn't grow up with this movie, so I don't, I don't view it as, one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. I don't think it's, amazing or great. But still, I do like it. But yeah, just keep in mind, this is coming from a person who did not grow up with this movie. So, I have no bias at all. I'm just viewing it for what it is, as I see it in my eyes. But yeah, so basically this movie starts out, a woman and her brother, they go to visit a funeral or not a funeral, they go to visit a graveyard, and they go to visit the gravestone of someone that they love that's passed away. And they go to lay flowers on his grave. But they all of a sudden get attacked by a deranged man who kills her brother and causes her to run and drive away, and she narrowly escapes death, and she ends up taking shelter in this house. Now, as the film goes on, they begin to realize that there is a virus that has broke out in the U.S. and has started infecting people and turned them into, well, zombies. And from there you get, one of the most famous zombie films ever made. Now, this is a good movie. Like I said before, I enjoy this movie. I think it's a fun, entertaining film. It's well-directed. It's bleak. They did a great job with what budget they had. The acting is pretty good as far as movies from the 1960s go. And the characters are fairly likable. But the main problem with this movie is its pace. This is a slow-paced movie, and I can deal with slow-paced movies for sure. But this movie is just a tad bit too slow-paced, at least in my opinion. There are some parts to where I was, legitimately bored. I was like, okay, come on, something happened. Just because, if the dialogue and characters were good enough, then I wouldn't care that it's slow-paced. But the thing is, besides just one character, the leading male in the movie, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's basically the star of the movie besides, the main woman that is in the opening of the movie. And he is a great actor. He did a great job in the movie. Loved his performance. He's a great character. All his dialogue is great. Everyone else, for the most part, their dialogue isn't that great, and the characters aren't as well developed as they could be. They're not awful characters. And, when certain bad things happen to them, you don't feel like nothing. It's not like, oh, I don't care. It's like, oh, well, that sucks. But you aren't, legitimately bummed out about it. Or at least I wasn't. But still, so yeah, this movie is a bit slow-paced. But when it's not when it's not slow-paced, it is exciting. This film definitely has a feeling of claustrophobia to it, because the vast majority of the movie just takes place in this one house. A decent-sized house, but just one house, all boarded up. And as for the zombies themselves, they definitely are threatening. This movie is what started the mainstream zombie. Before this you had voodoo zombies, you had, White Zombie, which is technically the first zombie movie. It came out in 1934, stars Bela Lugosi. That's, voodoo magic brought people from the dead. No. This is the modern zombie that you see most often in movies, video games, and books. And TV. Like The Walking Dead. This is, the virus infected people, and now they're raising from the dead. And yeah, they definitely are creepy. There are some legitimately creepy scenes, and there's some disturbing stuff that happens. There's one scene in a basement later on in the movie. I'm not going to say what happens, but it actually was pretty creepy. I was like, dang, I'm surprised that they're creating this amount of tension in a movie from the 60s. Which, that's not to discount movies from the 60s. There are some great movies from the 60s. Another horror film that I'm not going to review, but another great horror film also from 1968, Rosemary's Baby. Creepy movie. Very good movie. Definitely watch it. I give it an A-. But yeah, I guess that's my mini review. Sorry, getting off track here. And yeah, also the action scenes where the zombies are trying to break in, they're actually fairly entertaining, fairly exciting. And this movie is one of the first films ever made to actually show people getting ripped alive and eaten on screen. So that's pretty interesting to see. I mean, the gore effects are technically kind of bad, but they did a decent job with what they could at the time. This movie, basically, the R rating was created right after this movie was made. But anyway, yeah, the rating that I would give this movie is a B. It's a fun movie. Definitely give it a watch or two. And the gore rating I give it a kind of bloody, just because the gore itself looks, kind of fake. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, please rate and comment and subscribe. And if you want to, you can also share. Get out of my face.